Welcome back, everyone, to the Questing Bard. And those of you who are new, welcome. I'm Angela Tano, here to discuss her journey into publication. So I'm sure many of you guys are wondering where I've been. I've been very busy, and I apologize for all of that. Now, one of the big topics I'm sure you guys are wondering is, what is my manuscript? Give us some details, give us some information. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is the information on my manuscript. So my manuscript, so what is the genre? First of all, it is a fantasy genre. The inspiration came from fairy tales and also a lot of the high fantasy novels that you guys hear about and read about, or even see in big cinema halls and stuff like that. So my inspiration was, what if fairy tales are kind of like the older version of fantasy, right? They're like the roots. Fairy tales are what fantasy was, the concept, what it was back then. So my thing was like, well, what if we enhanced that? What if we made it a full-scale epic fantasy kind of novel or story? So that's exactly what I did. So, and you guys are like, well, we have ABC's Once Upon a Time. There's thousands and hundreds of other kinds of novels and stories like that. And I agree, there are other stories, there are other authors who have done something similar. So what makes mine different? First of all, mine doesn't follow in a similar fashion. So I do believe I found one in the children's section. Land of Stories or something. These two kids go into find this fantastical world with all the fairy tales, right? And this one doesn't have kids going into a fantastical world. This is the fantastical. It is already there. But it's not exactly as you know it. The rules don't necessarily apply. And that's kind of what I do. And you're like, well, Once Upon a Time kind of did that, right? True. Once Upon a Time definitely did that. And it definitely took on a whole new ballgame and epic scale all on its own. But it was also a drama series. It was also like a mix of all these different things. There was modern day elements, which was all cool and great. Mine doesn't involve modern day elements at all. It's not, there's nothing modern day about it. There's hints and clues because, like if you remember Sword in the Stone, Disney's version, Merlin actually is able to go back in time and travel. So he knows all about airplanes and radios and stuff like that. So there's hints of that. Merlin's not in the first book. I'll tell you right off the bat, he's not in it. But there's definitely references. There's one character, I'm not going to give away who it is, that actually kind of knows the modern day stuff. And there's hints of modern day stuff in there. Very subtle, very brief, fleeting moments. And you're like, wait, what? And it's like, oh, never mind. Just, yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. There's nothing really modern about it in terms of technology advancements and stuff. It's definitely high fantasy. There's definitely villains. There's definitely a big scale story arc that I do plan to have in there. So how do you go about writing it? And I know a lot of people are saying it, like, they start up trying to write a story and it falls halfway through. They don't put a lot of effort. They're like, it's too hard. It is hard. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. But you have to commit. You have to really, really, really commit to it. If it's something you really want from the bottom of your heart, you can do it. So how do you go about doing it? Of course, there's many ways, but you don't always have to start from the beginning, from like the first chapter to the end. The first one, this particular one, I've definitely done that. It just feels easier for me because that just felt like the right thing to do, was to go from the beginning and all the way to the end, because I kind of already had a scope of where it's going to go. I don't right now. I kind of started a little bit on the second one. I don't feel like that one's going to be more or less the same, but it is harder for me to kind of do bits and pieces. But we'll see which one works for that one when the time comes. but it is hard, and you definitely need to do a lot of drafting. There's a lot of editing, there's rewriting and stuff like that. So you have to really commit to it. It requires a lot of commitment. So a lot of time. So this is, and definitely don't abandon your day job, every regular day job. Don't abandon it. You need it. What I'm talking about here, this, you commit to it on your free time. This is like treat it like a hobby, but also like your second job, which you're not being paid for. So it's like voluntary work at the current moment. But so what am I talking about? I mean, commit to it as if it's a job, a second job. So I want the commitment. You need the commitment of a second day job, but still treat it like it's a hobby, because it is still your passion. This is something you're passionate about. So meaning, don't compromise everything and put everything on hold just for the sake of this. Oh, it's my job. No, it's not really a job, but you need to give it the respect and the attention of a second day job. That's what I'm saying. But treat it with the love and care and devotion as you would a hobby. So there you go. That's pretty much how you should approach it. Yes, and it is hard. I've known a lot of people who tried and they couldn't get past like first few pages, and they gave up because it's too much. It is. You guys are probably wondering now, was it ever for me? Occasionally, but usually it comes from because I just don't feel like the story is worth telling anymore. I don't feel like it's something worth continuing my effort and putting myself into. So that's why I don't finish. I did start a few times, a few other concepts, but they just weren't the ones to commit to. Artemis Rose was one to commit to. Actually, I did have another one I did commit to, and I did finish it, but I didn't get past first draft. So that's the problem. I did try to go for second draft, didn't really, still wasn't right. And I'm like, I'm just not feeling it for this one. My cousin is a little disappointed with that one because she's like, I love it. It has me in it, and it's your first. Like, but I don't feel like it's a first. I think there's so much work for it, and I don't have that drive that I did back then. But this one felt it. I felt this one was ideal for a first novel debut, per se. Yeah, so you have to commit. Don't expect that first time right through is going to be the one. It's not. There'll be probably 3, 4, or 5 drafts of your work. So don't be surprised if it takes long. It took me several years to finish it. And that's me treating it like a day job as well as treating it like a hobby. So sometimes the commitment was also like a hobby. So that was not so great. So hence it took longer. And definitely workshop your stuff. Of course, I mentioned that before. Workshopping is also important. And I'm going to show you a little bit of my novel, just a tad, just to give you a small taste of it. So you guys see here, this is the title of my work. This is kind of the prologue. I do have a prologue, letting you know. I'm not sure if I want to put the word prologue, but there's definitely a lot of stuff here. So you see, I have a lot of pages. And I do even have a cliffhanger, so a possibility for a second book. Okay, well, there you go. You guys got to see it. I know I went a little fast, well, because I don't want anyone taking my work and taking credit. It's not fully published or anything like that, so it's still anyone's game as far as I see it. I know publishers and agents will see it differently. If you wrote it, it's technically yours. Yeah, so that's it. All right, well, that's all for now. That's all I have to tell you guys about manuscripts, about writing them. And just because you wrote it once doesn't mean it's always going to work. I also know that sometimes people I know T.A. Barron, he wrote, so like he had several versions, like even had a first person and third person. So sometimes third person narrative works better for insert types of stories that you want to tell. Sometimes the first person would work better. I personally have so far done third person. To Baron, for one, he ended up saying that the first person was better for him. It's not like he definitely wrote third person. He could definitely write good third person novels too, but that is what he chose. For me, this is third person, and personally, I just feel it was easier, and I felt it was going to be. I don't know if it was the right call to do first person or not. Will I ever want to do first? I don't know. I'll see. I can try. Maybe in future there might be a story worthy of a first person narrative. All right. Well, that's it for now. I will see you guys next week. I promise. Oh, and there will be a couple episodes coming up with my trip to Harry Potter store in New York, as well as the Renaissance Fair. Don't have that many pictures of Renaissance Fair. I'll try to get more if I go next time. Harry Potter, definitely there's quite a lot. I'll definitely give you some pictures of that. It was really fun. I'm sorry I did not have video stuff. I wasn't comfortable yet to get into that. And I'm always in the moment, so I forget to do it. But I will have videos. I will definitely have videos. We'll talk about those in detail. And with my new book. Yes, I got it. Kristen Britton's new book. I will definitely talk about it in another future episode. All right, and that's it. And once again, I do apologize for the lateness. So I'll see you all next week. Stay tuned for my other future videos. So like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more future videos like this. See ya.